The sun is setting behind the western walls. I watch it from my post at the Ishtar Gate, this magnificent structure of glazed blue brick that everyone who enters Babylon must pass through. The last rays of light catch the golden lions and dragons, making them seem almost alive, almost as if they're the ones guarding the city, not me. My name is Nabu Shumishkun. Most people just call me Nabu. I'm 32 years old, and I've been a guard on these walls for 8 years now. My father was a guard before me, his father before him, but their job was different. I adjust the bronze-tipped spear in my hand, more out of habit than necessity, and begin my walk along the southern wall. The walls of Babylon. The greatest walls ever built, they say. Thick enough for 2 chariots to pass each other at the top. High enough that no ladder could reach the battlements. Strong enough that no ram could break them. Strong enough that no one even tries anymore. The evening air is warm. It's always warm here, even as the sun goes down. The Euphrates runs along the western edge of the city, and I can hear it from here, that constant, gentle sound of water flowing. It's been flowing like that since before my grandfather's time. It will flow like that long after I'm gone. Below me, the city is settling into its evening rhythm. I can hear vendors closing their stalls in the markets, mothers calling children inside, the distant bleating of sheep being penned for the night. Babylon doesn't sleep exactly, but it does quiet down once the sun sets. I pass another guard, Shamash Eriba. He's younger than me, maybe 25, new to the walls. "Quiet tonight?" he says. "It's always quiet." I reply. He nods, as if this is wisdom, as if I've told him something profound. But it's just the truth. It's always quiet. It's been quiet for years. I continue my walk. The walls stretch out before me, curving around the massive perimeter of the city. 15 miles of walls, they say. I don't walk all of it, no one does. We each have our section. Mine runs from the Ishtar Gate south along the river, then east toward the royal palace complex. About 2 miles, I think. Maybe less. 2 miles of wall that no one will ever attack. The sky is darkening now. The first stars are appearing. Out here, away from the city's torches and lamps, the stars are incredible. Thousands of them. The priests say they're the writing of the gods, messages about the future, about fate, about the rise and fall of empires. I wonder what they say about Babylon. Probably something about eternal glory, about King Nebuchadnezzar's greatness, about how our empire stretches from the mountains of the north to the deserts of the south, about how we conquered Jerusalem, how we brought their God's temple down, how we brought their people here to work on our buildings and gardens, about how no one dares challenge us anymore. I reach the first watchtower on my route. It's a square structure of brick, rising another 20 feet above the wall itself. There's a torch burning inside. Someone from the last shift left it. I check it, make sure it's secure, then continue on. My footsteps echo slightly on the brick walkway. It's a sound I've heard so many times it's become part of me. Step, step, step. The rhythm of the watch. The rhythm of the night. In my father's time, this job meant something. He told me stories about when he was young, when Assyria still held power in the north. Back then, there were real threats. Raiders. Armies. My father spent nights actually watching, actually alert, actually ready for something to happen. You'd see their campfires, he told me once. Miles away in the desert, you'd count them, try to estimate how many men, send runners to wake the garrison, stand ready at your post. But that was 30 years ago, maybe more. Now I walk the walls and watch nothing. I watch the peaceful countryside. I watch farmers' fields growing barley and wheat. I watch the river flowing. I watch the stars. I'm a guard with nothing to guard against. The thought doesn't bother me exactly. It's just there. a quiet awareness that sits in the back of my mind during these long nights. My wife, Shuana, doesn't understand it. "You should be grateful," she says. "It's safe work, good pay. You come home every morning, no danger." She's right, of course. I am grateful. I have 2 children. A son, 7 years old, already learning to read cuneiform at the temple school, and a daughter, 4, who follows her mother everywhere. I have a good house near the southern wall. We eat well. We're comfortable. But sometimes I wonder, what am I actually doing? The wall continues beneath my feet. I pass markers, scratches in the brick, old burn marks from torches, a place where the brick is slightly different colored from a repair years ago. These are my landmarks, the things I use to mark my progress through the night. The city glows below me. Not bright, not like daylight, but glowing with thousands of small fires. Lamps in windows, cooking fires, torches along the main streets. The palace complex is especially bright. The king never sleeps, they say. Always working, always planning, always building something new. The hanging gardens are visible from here. One of the king's projects. They rise in terraces, each level covered in trees and plants that shouldn't exist in this desert. Water flows through them, channeled, lifted, carried by some engineering method I don't understand. It's beautiful, even at night, even from this distance. Beautiful and completely impractical. But that's Babylon now, isn't it? We build beautiful, impractical things because we can. Because we're so secure, so powerful, so unthreatened that we can spend our wealth on wonders instead of weapons. I reach the southern corner of my route. From here, I can see out over the plains. Miles and miles of darkness. Somewhere out there, caravans are traveling. Merchants heading east toward Persia or west toward the Mediterranean. They travel at night sometimes when it's cooler. They travel safely. Because everyone knows, you don't threaten Babylon. You don't threaten Babylon because our walls are impregnable, because our armies are the strongest in the world, because our king conquered everyone worth conquering, because even thinking about attacking us would be suicide. So they don't, and I walk these walls, carrying a spear I'll never use, watching for enemies that will never come. I turn east now, following the wall as it runs parallel to the royal quarter. The palace rises to my left, inside the city. Even at night, it's impressive. Massive. Block after block of buildings, throne rooms, administrative halls, living quarters for the royal family, quarters for servants, for guards, for officials. The palace isn't just a building. It's a city within the city. Somewhere in there, the king is awake. Nebuchadnezzar II. The greatest king Babylon has ever known, they say. And maybe they're right. He's built more, conquered more, achieved more than any of his predecessors. He rebuilt these very walls I'm walking on, made them higher, thicker, stronger, added the elaborate gates, the Ishtar Gate with its lions and dragons, the others with their bulls and gods, made Babylon into something that looks eternal. But why? That's the question that nags at me during these quiet hours. Why make the walls stronger when no one attacks? Why build higher when no one even tries to climb what's already here? Because that's why no one attacks, Shamash-Shariba said once, when I voiced this thought. Because the walls are so strong. Maybe he's right. Maybe the walls themselves are the reason for the peace, a deterrent so massive that no one even tries. Or maybe we're just living in a fortunate time, a moment between conflicts, a breath between wars, and these walls, these mighty walls, are just waiting for the next threat that may never come. I pass another guard. Belahi. He's older than me, maybe 50. Been on the walls since he was a teenager. Another peaceful night, he says, with something like irony in his voice. Another peaceful night. I agree. We both smile slightly. It's a joke between the older guards, the eternal peace, the endless quiet, the job that isn't really a job. But we show up anyway, we walk anyway, we carry our spears anyway, because that's what guards do. I continue east. The stars are fully out now. The moon is rising, nearly full, bright enough to cast shadows. Bright enough that I barely need the torches along the wall. I can see the brick clearly. I can see the drop to the outside, easily 100 feet down to the ground. I can see the moat beyond that, dry now in summer, but still a massive trench that would slow any army. Any army that no longer exists. The Assyrians are gone, destroyed. Their great capital, Nineveh, is ruins now. My father saw it fall. He was in the army then, part of the coalition that brought them down. He told me about it once, the siege, the hunger, the final assault, the way the greatest empire of his youth just ended. That's when I learned. He said, nothing lasts forever. Not Assyria, not us, nothing. But my father was wrong, I think. Or at least he might be wrong. Because Babylon has lasted. We've grown stronger while Assyria fell. We've expanded while others contracted. We've built while others destroyed. Maybe we're different. Maybe we're the exception. Or maybe we're just next. The thought comes unbidden, unwelcome. I push it away. These are the kinds of thoughts that come during night watch, when you're alone with nothing but time and silence. Thoughts about the impermanence of things, about how everything falls eventually, about how even these massive walls will someday crumble. But not tonight. Tonight they stand firm. Tonight Babylon is secure. Tonight my job is to walk and watch and pretend it matters. I reach a point where I can see the Euphrates clearly. The river glitters in the moonlight, flowing south toward the Persian Gulf. The river that feeds us, that gives us life, that made this desert bloom into the greatest city in the world. Cities rise along rivers, my father said, and they fall when the rivers change. But the Euphrates hasn't changed in memory. It flows the same path it always has. And we've built our city to last, not just on the river, but with it. Canals branch off, carrying water throughout the city. Gardens flourish. Fountains flow. Even on the walls, there are places where water is channeled up for the guards to drink. Engineering, planning, permanence. That's what Babylon is built on, the idea that we can control everything. The river, the land, our enemies, our fate. And maybe we can. So far we have. I pass the eastern gate, smaller than the Ishtar gate, but still impressive. The doors are closed now, as they are every night. Massive wooden doors reinforced with bronze, set into a passage through the wall that's easily 50 feet deep. Even if someone broke through the outer door, they'd be trapped in that passage, subject to arrows and stones from above. But no one tries to break through. The doors close peacefully every night and open peacefully every morning. Merchants pass through. Farmers, travelers, tribute bearers from conquered lands. No enemies, no threats, just the daily flow of an empire at peace. I continue along the eastern wall now, heading north back toward the Ishtar Gate. This is the longest stretch of my route. The city spreads out to my left, darkened houses, narrow streets, the occasional lit window. To my right, outside the walls, there's just darkness. Fields, empty land, the desert beyond. Somewhere out there, in other lands, there are other cities, other peoples, but none that threaten us, none that could even reach us if they wanted to. The distance alone would defeat them before they reached our walls. We are invulnerable, not because of these walls, though they help, but because of geography, because of distance, because of the sheer power we've accumulated. And that makes all the guards redundant. We're relics, holdovers from a more dangerous time, men playing at a job that no longer needs doing. But we do it anyway. Because what else would we do? Because someone has to walk the walls, even if just for show, because the act of guarding is what makes people feel secure, even if there's nothing to guard against. Because maybe, just maybe, the moment we stop watching is the moment something happens. That's what they tell the new guards. Stay alert, you never know. But we do know. We know nothing will happen. Nothing has happened for years. Nothing will happen tonight. And still, we watch. I reach another watchtower. This one is my favorite on the route. It sits at the northeastern corner, where the wall bends. From its top, you can see in 3 directions: north along the wall toward the Ishtar Gate, east toward the sunrise, though it's hours until dawn, and south along the river. It's the highest point on my section. I climb the stairs. They're narrow, worn smooth by countless feet over countless years. The tower is empty tonight. Sometimes guards rest here, but not now. Just me and the stars. At the top, there's a simple wooden bench. I sit. From here, the city looks almost small, almost manageable. Just a collection of buildings and streets and walls. Not the center of the world. Not the eternal empire, just a city. I set my spear against the wall. I won't need it. I never need it. The wind is gentle at this height. It's cooler here, away from the stored heat of the streets below. I can hear it moving through the banners that hang from the tower, fabric marked with the symbols of Marduk, our chief god. The symbols flutter and snap softly. How many guards have sat here before me? Hundreds? Thousands? Going back to when these walls were first built, when my great-great-grandfather's generation raised these bricks and set them in place. Did they know then that they were building something that would last this long? Did they imagine their descendants walking these same paths, looking out over the same views? Did they imagine those descendants would have nothing to do? I think about my son. He's learning to read and write. He's smart, smarter than I was at his age. The priests say he has potential. He could become a scribe, maybe, work in the palace administration, keep records of grain stores or trade agreements or temple offerings. A better life than this, a more useful life. I won't push him toward the guard service. Why would I? What would be the point? By the time he's old enough, this job will be even more obsolete than it is now. Maybe by then, they won't even bother posting guards. Maybe they'll just let the walls stand empty, a monument to a threat that never materialized. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe something will change. Maybe some new enemy will emerge. Maybe the peace will break, and suddenly these walls will matter again. Guards will matter again. The spears we carry will be more than props. But I don't think so. I think we're living at the peak, the highest point of Babylon's power. And from here, there's nowhere to go but down. Not today. Not this year. Maybe not in my lifetime. But someday. Everything falls. My father said, "Nothing lasts forever." But right now, sitting here in the cool night air, looking out over the greatest city in the world, it's hard to imagine it ending. It's hard to imagine these walls crumbling, this empire failing, this peace breaking. It's hard to imagine anything other than this eternal present, this endless night watch, this comfortable, useless routine. Below me, a dog barks. Someone shouts, not in alarm, just calling to someone else. A door slams, the small sounds of city life, even in the deep night. My father's stories seem like myths now, tales from another time, warriors and battles and actual danger. I try to imagine it, standing here, seeing enemy campfires in the distance, knowing that tomorrow might bring an attack, feeling that spike of fear and adrenaline, being truly needed. I can't quite picture it. It's too foreign to my experience, too removed from the reality of my life. My reality is this: walking walls that don't need guarding, carrying weapons I'll never use, watching for threats that don't exist, playing my part in the theater of empire, making people feel safe through my mere presence, even though they're safe regardless. It's honest work. It feeds my family. It's better than breaking my back in the fields or hauling stones for the king's latest building project. I should be grateful. And I am grateful, truly. But I'm also aware of the absurdity. The beautiful absurdity of being paid to do nothing in the most elaborate way possible. The hanging gardens are lit tonight. I can see them from here, torches placed throughout the terraces, making the whole structure glow. A wonder of the world, they're calling it. Engineers and workers from across the empire labored for years to build them. All for the queen, they say, because she missed the green hills of her homeland. Imagine having that power. Imagine being able to say, I miss green hills, and having engineers create an artificial mountain covered in vegetation in the middle of the desert. That's the power Babylon has now. Not just military power, but the power of wealth, of organization, of absolute security. We can afford to build wonders because we don't need to build defenses. These walls are enough, more than enough. Which brings me back to the question, why am I here? Not philosophically, I know why I'm here. I'm here because this is my job, because it pays, because it's what I do. But functionally, actually, why? I could be home. I could be sleeping next to my wife, waking up with my children in the morning. The wall would stand without me. The city would be exactly as safe. But I'm here anyway, because this is what we do. We maintain the rituals even when the reasons fade. We keep the watch even when there's nothing to watch for. Because maybe, just maybe, the watching itself is the point. Not the enemies we keep out, but the certainty we maintain. The knowledge that somewhere, someone is watching. That the city isn't undefended, even if it doesn't need defending. Appearance matters, theater matters. The guard on the wall is a symbol as much as a soldier, and I can live with being a symbol. I stand up. My break is over. Not that anyone's timing me, but I time myself. Part of the routine, part of the ritual. I pick up my spear, descend the stairs, return to the wall. The city glows below. The stars shine above. The wind whispers across the battlements. And I walk on. The night is deepening now. I'm maybe halfway through my shift. 4 more hours until dawn. 4 more hours of walking, watching, being present but unnecessary. I pass sections of the wall I've passed hundreds of times, thousands of times. I know every brick, every irregularity, every place where the mortar is slightly different, where ancient repairs show through the surface. These walls have stories, built and rebuilt over generations, each king adding to them, strengthening them, making them more elaborate. The outer wall, the inner wall, the moat between, layer upon layer of defense. Defense against what, though? In my grandfather's time, maybe it made sense. The Assyrians were still powerful then. Egypt was still a threat to the West. There were rivals, competitors, enemies, but we defeated them all, or outlasted them, or absorbed them, and now there's just us, Babylon, dominant, unchallenged, alone at the top. And maybe that's the most dangerous thing. Not the enemies at the gates, but the absence of enemies, the comfort, the certainty that nothing can touch us. I've heard the old priests warn about this, about hubris, about forgetting that even the greatest empires are temporary, about thinking we're immune to the fate that befell Assyria, or Egypt, or the Hittites before them. But those are just words, old men's warnings. Here, in the present, on these massive walls, with this rich city behind me, and this peaceful countryside before me, it's hard to take those warnings seriously. We're not like them, I think. We're not overextended or corrupt or weak. We're at the height of our power. We're efficient, organized, strong. We're Babylon. Another guard approaches. Nergal-ushezib. He nods as we pass. Neither of us speaks. What would we say? All quiet. Yes, all quiet. The same conversation we've had 100 times. The same meaningless exchange that confirms we're both awake, both doing our jobs, both maintaining the fiction. The eastern sky is still dark, but there's a quality to it, a subtle change, that tells me dawn is coming. Not soon, but eventual. In a few hours, the sun will rise. The day shift will take over. I'll descend from these walls and walk home through the waking city. My wife will have breakfast ready. My children will be stirring. I'll eat, sleep through the hot part of the day, wake in the afternoon, play with my son, help my wife with whatever needs doing. Then, as the sun sets again, I'll return here. The cycle continues. Day after day, month after month, year after year. It's a good life, a stable life, a peaceful life. But sometimes, often actually, during these quiet hours, I wonder, is this all there is? Not in a dissatisfied way. I'm not unhappy, but in a curious way, a questioning way. Is this the peak of human achievement? Building a city so secure, so powerful that it requires nothing of us? Where guards don't guard, where soldiers don't fight, where the walls just stand? Maybe it is. Maybe peace is the peak. Maybe everything else, the wars, the threats, the danger, maybe that was just the climb. And this quiet night watch where nothing happens, maybe this is the summit. If so, it's a strange summit. Peaceful but purposeless. Safe but empty of meaning. Or maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe this is just what progress looks like. Maybe the next generation won't need guards at all. Maybe my son's children will look at these walls and wonder why anyone ever stood watch on them. Maybe to them, the idea of enemies at the gates will seem as strange as, I don't know, gods walking the earth? Just stories, just history, just the old ways before we figured out how to live without fear. That would be something, wouldn't it? A world where walls are just architecture, not defense. Where guards are history, not necessity. Where peace isn't a temporary condition between wars, but the permanent state of things. I reach the Ishtar Gate again. I've completed the circuit. Time to turn around and walk it again. The lions and dragons gleam in the moonlight, beautiful and fierce and utterly symbolic. They don't protect anything. They're art, decoration, a statement of power that doesn't need to be proven because it's so obvious. Like me, like all of us, guards who don't need to guard, walls that don't need defending, an empire so secure it can afford to be decorative. I turn south again. The second walk of the night. Same path, same routine, same peaceful nothing. And that's fine. That's good even. This is what civilization is supposed to achieve, isn't it? Peace, stability, security so complete that danger becomes unimaginable. We did it. We built it. We created the eternal city, the impregnable walls, the endless peace. And now we maintain it by walking these walls and carrying these spears and watching this empty horizon. It's enough. It has to be enough. Because it's all there is. The stars are beginning to fade. Not dramatically, not like they're being put out one by one, but gradually, imperceptibly, the way things change in Babylon. Slowly, peacefully, without alarm. I'm tired now, not exhausted, but feeling the weight of the night. My feet know this walk so well they could do it without me. My eyes have seen this view so many times they could recreate it from memory. But I'm here, I'm present, I'm doing my job, such as it is. The Euphrates is starting to catch the pre-dawn light. Just barely. Just a hint of grey against the black. Soon the fishermen will be out. Then the farmers heading to their fields. Then the merchants opening their stalls. Then the whole great machine of the city grinding into motion again. Another day in Babylon. Another day of peace. Another day where nothing happens on these walls. I think about the old stories again, the ones my father told, the ones his father told him, about when being a guard meant something, when the walls were tested, when courage actually mattered. Those were hard times, I think. Times I'm glad I wasn't born into. But they were also significant times. Times when what you did mattered in an obvious way, when the distinction between safe and unsafe was clear and immediate. Now everything blurs together. Safe and unsafe are the same. Guarding and not guarding produce identical results. The spear in my hand is a prop in a performance that no one's watching. But maybe that's the highest achievement. Maybe the goal of civilization is to make significance obsolete, to make everything so smooth, so stable, so certain that individual actions don't matter because the system is unshakable. If so, we've achieved it. This is the top, the pinnacle, the promised land. And it's fine. It's good. It's just not what the stories made it sound like. The sky is definitely lighter now, grey spreading from the east. Soon, I'll see the sun's rim above the horizon. Soon, my shift will end. I pass Shamash-Shariba again. He's been walking the opposite direction, so we meet periodically throughout the night. Almost done, he says. Almost done. I agree. We're both thinking the same thing, probably. Thinking about going home, about sleep, about the next night, which will be exactly like this one. It's comforting, in a way. The predictability, the sameness, no surprises, no alarms, just the steady rhythm of the watch, night after night after night. I reach my favorite tower one last time. The sun will rise from here in about half an hour. I don't climb the stairs this time, just pause, just take a breath. Babylon stretches out before me, the greatest city in the world. My city, my home, the place my children are growing up, safe and secure. Because of these walls, because of what Babylon is, because of the peace we've built, and yes, because of guards like me, even if all we do is walk and watch and carry spears that will never strike anything. Maybe that's enough. Maybe being a symbol is enough. Maybe maintaining the ritual is enough. Maybe I don't need to be a warrior to be serving a purpose. I adjust my spear, continue walking. The eastern sky is turning pink now. Beautiful, peaceful. Another dawn over Babylon. Another night passed quietly. Another threat that never came. Another shift of watching nothing. And tomorrow night I'll do it again. Because this is what guards do. We watch, we wait, we stand ready, even when there's nothing to be ready for. We are the shepherds of a peace so deep, so permanent that our presence is almost invisible. But we're here, on these walls, under these stars, watching this eternal city. For as long as Babylon stands, and surely that will be forever, we'll be here. Standing guard over nothing, over everything,